Good evening. Welcome. I hope you're well. I hope you're well. I hope you're sitting comfortably. It's been a while. It's been a while. Let me know what's been happening in your life. Is everything well? Is everything good? Are you feeling well? Are you hydrated? Have you had some food, a cup of tea, maybe a glass, cup of coffee, glass of orange juice? Are you feeling ready? All right, you've obviously clicked on this video or you're listening to my voice now for this advanced English with English podcast. So, Paul, and I'm here ready. I've shown up. I've shown up and I'm committed to helping you with your English. All right, so you've obviously clicked on the video. You know, this week it's about how I record a video. I know, it's a bit odd, a bit strange, but somebody asked, how do you record a video? All right, so I thought I would scribble down some notes and I go through the process with you. It does seem very boring to me, but some people might find it interesting. Some people want to know. So we'll go ahead and you let me know whether you think it was interesting and if you have some questions about recording a video yourself or if you thought it was a bit boring. I'm open to feedback and criticisms. All right, so the process for me is not the same as everybody else, but the process for me when I record a video or this podcast, what I do is I go to my list. I have a list of different ideas of subjects that I want to talk about, that I want to express my opinion on, and then I think about how I can inject some interesting conversational English into that. Maybe something a bit different, something a bit more complex, and we take it from there. So yeah, I pick a subject, I do a little bit of research on it, and I kind of write out like a spider's web, on a piece of paper, and I have different thoughts going off in different directions. Sometimes the thoughts correspond with other thoughts. Sometimes there's connections. Sometimes I only see the connection when it's written in front of me and I go, and that inspires new thought, new conversation, and new ideas, I suppose. As you can hear, I'm out in the countryside. You might hear a pigeon or some cows, so that's part of the ambience and the authenticity of me being outside in English countryside. Right, so going back to it, yeah, I do a little bit of research often. Sometimes not. If I feel I know enough about the subject to be able to deliver a conversation, then I'll just go with the flow. But often do a little bit of research and see if there's any connections between other aspects or other areas. Often there's a connection between a previous video that I've talked about. All right, and that can take around 2 hours to do some investigation, write out the notes, and anything specific I might highlight that. I might go, oh yes, my listeners are gonna love to know about this. I gotta tell them about this. This is quite interesting. This is getting deep now. When I get carried away and excited when I'm writing out the notes. Anyway, so that can take like 2 hours. All right. I also then have a think about how I want the narrative to go of this conversation. Whether it's dark and negative, whether maybe I'm talking about the government or about politics or about something I'm not too happy about, and how I want to present it to you guys. Or on the other hand, it could be something really positive and happy and something I'm really passionate and excited and happy about. Again, I'll deliver it to you guys with that kind of energy. Although I have noticed my energy starts off very slow and somber and gentle, and that builds and builds and builds and builds until I can barely contain myself with the excitement. All right, okay, that's about being authentic, I guess. All right, okay. So where to take it? Tone, attitude, and the subject. So that might only take 10 minutes to work out how I want to manipulate. Not manipulate is not a fair word. How I want to frame the perspective of this conversation. All right. Next, after that, I think about the thumbnail and the SEO. Now, on English Podcasts with Paul, I do have another channel. The thumbnail is usually pretty basic. I want you to see my face, so you recognize, oh, it's Paul every time. That's his video. I'm just going to click on it because he's good quality, and he always delivers. And the other aspect is that on another channel I have, I try to put in some correlation or information about the video or about the context of the video. Not always, but so I do think about that and how it's going to look down in the little bottom of your phone with the time stamp in the corner over some words. And then SEO. So I'm sure many of you already know, but for those that don't, SEO, search engine optimization. And that's about, not very humanly, but it's about how the algorithm and picks up the topic and how much is spoken about in the description and the other metadata. And I used to think, what the hell is metadata? So information that you as a consumer might not see. So how long the video is, what it's about, the subject matter, whether it's educational or whether it's romantic or drama or whatever. So there's lots and lots of little clues in that respect. And one of the things I'm learning to do, and it's not so nice to read, but in the description is to mention the name of the title multiple times or a different revision of the same words of the title. And that way the algorithm picks up, he said, I don't know, British Sign Language. Now he's talking about sign language. Now he's talking about communication. Now he's talking about people that are deaf and deaf community. So all those things that are connected, that gets seen or picked up in the algorithm, and it connects them all together, and that ticks like a little marker each time. So if I say, for example, British Sign Language in the title, and then I say British Sign Language in the description, and then further in the description I say deaf people and the deaf community and non-verbal communication and something else. That's more and more little ticks that the algorithm put together and help rate it higher when it comes to communication or British Sign Language or any sign language, I guess. It'll help rate it higher. But it's not very nice to read. It's not very interesting because it's repetitive. All right, so that's one aspect of SEO. There are a couple more things as well, like looking at your demographic of where your audience is, how old your audience is, the gender and things like that. But I try not to get too much involved with that. All right, moving on. So that normally takes about 15 minutes. It can take a lot longer, sometimes a lot shorter. It depends on which channel I'm focusing on. So that's 2 hours, 15 minutes. Okay. No, and then that 15 minutes. So 2.5 hours so far. We're at 2.5 hours. All right. The next thing I think about the setup, what the background is for those that are watching and those that are listening, whether you can hear the birds in the background, what kind of microphone I use, whether I'm walking out and about with the what do you call it? I've forgotten the name. I've completely forgotten the name now. DJI Osmo 3. I've got DJI Osmo 3 stabilizer gimbal. That's the word we use in the industry. A gimbal. 2-axis or 3-axis gimbal. So I make decisions whether I'm going to use the gimbal, whether I'm walking around, whether I'm going to put it on a tripod, whether I'm going to put it low to the ground, high up, what the lighting's like, whether I'm facing the sun, whether the sun is behind me, giving me a halo effect, whether I put some lights on if I'm in the van. So a few different aspects there, and like I said, and also, I make sure I'm presentable. What else? I try to work it that there's not too much else going on in the background, whether there's cows moving around, whether there's cyclists going past, or a car or a tractor, all these sorts of things. I try to orchestrate it so it works in my favor. So if I want to talk to you about the countryside and then some cows and a tractor go by, that's That's more authentic and reassurance that I really am in the countryside, not in a studio with a fake background. Okay, so that can be another 15 to 30 minutes. Microphone, putting a shirt on, making sure I got the lighting set up, and whether I'm walking or whatever, gimbal, tripod, etc. Feel like I'm waffling on a little bit now. All right, so we're talking 2 hours, 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours. Right then, the next bit, press record. Kind of sounds obvious. Deliver the energy, the authentication, the gesticulation of my hands. When I have the clamp that holds the microphone, I can move the hands around a bit more and show my passion and excitement, or my disdain. I have disdain towards politics and the government, and I can use my body language to express that further. What else? Also, the speed and the intonation and the excitement that I talk really, really fast, and then I might slow it right down and feel quite somber, and kind of slow it down and feel a bit sad about the state of the affairs in the economy. So all these different aspects I try to bring to you, moving closer to the camera, laughing and joking and falling over, rattling my paper, all these things I'm fully aware of, that helps with the authenticity of me being open and honest with you. All right, so it's not just a case of just shouting. I've even been to some classes on speaking out loud specifically to an audience. So I do that on a monthly basis now. So I'm learning to speak to an audience. So all these things, excuse me, I take into consideration before I press play. All of these things. And then I actually press play. Not play, record. You know what I mean. Okay. So that can take another 30 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on how long the video is, whether something happens, somebody drives by, because I say to you in this video, it's unedited, unscripted, and under an hour. All right, that's my 3 golden points that I always say. Now, I don't edit it, but if somebody drives by and starts chatting or something, I stop the video and I put it into my editing software and I stitch it straight onto the next one. So I'm not strictly editing it. I'm not adding or taking stuff away. I'm just carrying on where I finished off the last section or the last sentence. If I sneeze or cough or fall over or something that I'm in control of, I normally carry on. Bit more interesting then, a bit more exciting, a bit more real. In the last video, I tapped the microphone. Right, okay. So that's 30 to 45 minutes. Right, I'm looking down at my notes now. All right, what's next? Stitch together broken clips. Well, that's what I just talked about, yeah. Car people, etc. At the end, now I've found an outro on Canva. I don't know if you've ever used Canva. There is a more exciting version for real designers called Figma. I'm thinking of looking into that, because you can also then move from Figma to Framer, and Framer is about building websites, but from a design aspect. So that's what I'm looking at in the future, because I have a website. If you guys have noticed, or if you've looked, I do have a website, and it's pretty abysmal. There you go. There's another British word. Abysmal, rubbish, pants, pathetic. My website is very, very cheap. Now, I'm not a cheap kind of person, but I am frugal and I am provincial. All right, so I try to be very good with money, but I do need to upgrade the website, and that'll be happening soon. Okay, I feel like I'm going off on a tangent here now. I digress slightly. All right, so this outro, that's new. Said about editing software, but that's only just to stitch the clips together. I watch it again. Normally I watch it twice, just to see if there's any problems with lighting, with the camera, whether the microphone's turned off accidentally, or I've run out of disk space on my computer. Yeah, so that's just to check and to come across as a bit professional. I don't want to upload a video and then find out there's loads of crackling and bad noise and sound right in the middle of it, because that's happened before. All right, so that can take an hour quite easily. Then I upload it. That's sometimes the hardest thing because I'm out here in the countryside and the signal's not very strong. So I upload it. Again, I write out the description, thinking about SEOs. I add a thumbnail, or create a thumbnail rather, and I said to you, I try and keep it as simple as possible. The simpler and easier you can make your videos, then the more likely you are to do it. You're putting less stumbling blocks in front of you. All right? It's a bit like putting your trainers and your gym bag by the door. So when you get up in the morning, your alarm goes off, and you pick it up, there's no barriers in the way. You can just go ahead and do it. So making a simple thumbnail and a simple recording setup makes things a lot smoother, and you're more likely to stay consistent and continue to build. Okay, so that's going over SEOs, thumbnails, creating. And tags. I have to add a load of tags on it as well. And tags also link into the SEO as well. And I try not to go overboard on the tags, but I keep the same tags and I sort of cut and paste them because they're the same. And to be honest with you, I stole most of these tags from Luke's English podcast. I looked at his tags. I think I used TubeBuddy or something like that. And that's a software to help you with keywords. And when I went on to his, he had all these like advanced learning English, British English. And so I stole the tags. Well, if they work for Luke's English podcast, hopefully they'll work for me. A great guy, by the way. Do listen to his podcast. And also Michael from Level Up English. Also very, very good podcast and delivery. Also my friend. Well, Michael's my friend. I don't know Luke that well. I want to know Luke better. If you're watching this video, please have me on your podcast. I'd be very excited to be on your podcast. Talk to you as you're in France. Maybe talk to you about Paris and my connection with the French people. I've had some really, really good French students actually. A couple of them have been quite hot, but there we go. All right, so Luke, I'm reaching out, my friend. Have me on your podcast. All right, we're moving on. There we go. So uploading, SEOs, tags, etc. Right. Audio. This is the next thing I need to do. Is the quickest and easiest way for me is to play the video after it's uploaded and record it on a separate sound device. And it's to extrapolate. Extrapolate mean to take out just the audio from the video. And then I can have it as a WAV format or an MP3. Then I can put that onto the website like Luke and like a lot of other people, and have an RRS feed going up to Spotify and Google and Apple iTunes and stuff like that from my own website, so I can host it myself. Because I said to you before, I'm quite provincial and frugal with my finances. You got to make the most of them, haven't you? If you want to be responsible, you got to make the most of your finances. So an RRS is some code that sends the latest video that you upload or audio to different podcast platforms. So that is what I need to do next. I should be doing that in these holidays, and I'll probably do all the latest ones first, and then the back catalogue. All right. So altogether, that's approximately 6 hours. But I do have, like I said, I do have 2 channels. Now, if you're interested in the other channel, it's Tribal Man Club. Now, this is for men of a certain age that could do a little bit of help getting back on their feet, that are stuck in a rut, or just need some help dealing with the world in this day and age, because it's a rocky seas at the moment. It's not very easy. All right, so that's Tribal Man Club. If you're interested, have a little look at that. And as I said, I've got a website that's abysmal. All right, that's English podcast with Paul. I had to think about that for a minute. Why did I have to think about that? I don't know. There is a Facebook page as well that's been neglected a little bit. So if you've got some time to waste, go on my Facebook page, same name, and leave a comment or upload a picture or just be involved. All right, so that's it really. When I record a video, all those aspects all come together, and I put in the time, and I do it for you guys. As I said to you before, I used to teach in different countries, and a lot of people really struggle to find natural British English at a native level that's just conversational. Yes, there's Luke's English podcast, and he's got some amazing videos. Some of his videos are quite long as well. That's why mine is always under an hour, and unscripted and unedited. That's my key thing, you see. So I'm not copying Luke completely, but I do like Luke and his videos. They're great. They're a great resource. But yeah, if you get a chance, pop to the website, say hello, have a little look, tell me how I can improve it, make it better for you. But yeah, a free resource for everybody. All right, that's it for now. Wrapping things up. If you've got any comments or questions, put them below. Tell me how much you love my videos or where I could improve. And if you've got a YouTube channel, send me the link. I'd be interested to see your YouTube channel and connect. Maybe in the future we could do a collaboration, you and I. That would be quite exciting, wouldn't it? All right. Let me know about your language journey. All right, that's it for this week, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much, everybody. I love you guys. Take care. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.